We are now live on Yonkers Voice with Mr. LeRoy Benros. What's up, Lee?
How you doing, Ru?
Doing good, doing good. Now, we've been hearing a lot of stuff about you. A legend on the way up. Is this a rumor or is it true?
I'm just working. I'm working hard and I'm not worried about being a legend. Just working hard and doing the best that I can.
Maybe you want to choose to be a politician because that sounds like, a politician's answer. Because everybody's dream is to reach the sky.
Right.
Isn't that part of your dream?
Absolutely. But the word legend, that's for the people to decide, right?
Okay, you see, you're humble. So the people will decide. Now, for you to become a legend, you must work hard. So tell us a little bit about you, Lee.
Well, I've been doing the music industry work for about 12, 13 years. Well, 2006 is when I really got started. I did several internships while I was going to college, and I didn't quite finish college because I figured out what I wanted to do, and worked hard and made sure it was a priority for me to succeed in the field that I chose. So
So, but you went to college for what? Tell us.
Well, I went to Lynn University in Florida for a couple of years. I studied communication. Started off with psychology, and then went full communications, and then transferred to Manhattan College, and continued communications, PR, marketing. But it's such a broad topic that you keep your options open. I mean, communication. You need communication for any field that you choose. So I felt like that was a good entry point.
Now, I talk to a lot of young guys, in the music industry at, different type of genres, music, rap or salsa, merengue. And it's everybody's dream, those guys that are in the music industry. And they think it's easy. All you need is a good voice and play an instrument. Is that true?
No, that's maybe 10% of the battle. The 90% is the hard work that you put into it. The doing all the things that you don't see on the Instagram, on the social media. The late hours, the finding dollars to invest in studio time, and perfecting your craft, working on songs that don't sound good. Sending a lot of emails that get rejected. Over and over again. And then the more persistent you are and consistent you are, you start making progress and you start seeing the window of opportunities start to appear, and then you got to take them.
So if I was to ask you, they give me an equation that equals 2, what would be the equation that equals success? Play versus fun, hard work. Give me the equation for success in the music industry. So you just said that having a good voice and having a good music is not enough. So give me the equation for success.
It's not as simple as 1+1 or 1+1. It's it evolves. It evolves. There's a lot of elements. There's persistence. There's perseverance. There's determination. There's hard work. Um, Being clever. A lot of those things. You put that in a pot. And then the outcome is what you really need.
The outcome. So, but part of that equation is hard work.
Hard work. I mean, you do need talent. Timing.
No, of course.
Timing is one of the most important things. You have to. You can have what it takes, but if the timing isn't right, it's just the timing isn't right.
So hard work, persistence, timing equals success. Would that be it?
Say it again.
Hard work,
yeah,
persistence, timing equals success. or there is something
Throw a
else
little
that
bit.
you?
You could sprinkle a little talent in there too. You need to have talent.
No, no, no. We got
We're talking about
we would.
with talent, those ingredients. What you're
Yes,
saying.
yes. We would assume if you're gonna go in vocals, you should at least know how to sing, right?
Absolutely. I would say I
So
wouldn't even say um hard work. I would say maybe smart work. You know, gotta
smart work.
work smart. You know, it's not about if you're working hard and doing the wrong thing, you know, you're not gonna get anywhere. So you know, it's all about being smart and doing all the right things and utilizing all the resources that are available and knowing how to use them. You know?
Now, I'm sure that everyone that succeeds in life had some failures
Hmm.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's why I added persistence, because
Right.
if you are going to go in any type of a line of work, regardless if it's music or technology or whatever you're going to do, you know, as long as it's a line of work. If you give up on the first no, you might as well don't even get involved. Correct?
Correct. I mean, I think you know the no's are just as important. Maybe the no's are more important than the yeses. You know, because you learn. You know, when you get a lot of no's and you make mistakes, you have to learn and you have to adjust and you have to make changes. You know, especially early on, you have to lose a little bit because
Mhm.
you gain when you lose. So there's been a lot of times in the early beginning where we made mistakes. And I look back, we should have did it this way. But you need that in order to, because it's not a race. It's not whoever gets there first. It's for a career. It's built over time. So
Lee,
uh,
stay centered on the camera.
okay,
You moving out too much to one side. So if a young, let's say well, I'm like 45. So let's go back like 20 years back when I was 20,
uh-huh.
and I'm thinking, oh, I have talent. I have a good voice to sing, or I play a good instrument, and I want to get into music. And I was to ask you, what do you recommend?
This is talking as if we're 20 years ago, or this is now.
Well, now,
Okay. Well, the great thing is now for music and for artists, much different than 20 years ago. Back then you needed a label to get your music out. You, you know. Um, But now there are a lot of tools online that help you distribute your music, help you reach people, social media. You can release a song here and send it to a DJ in South Africa or Brazil, and you're making connections. So there's a lot of tools if you're clever that you can use to circulate your music. At the end of the day, great music always travels. So you have to put in the work to get the music out to as many places as possible for to build your fan base and to build your audience. Quality content consistently
yeah,
is super important.
yes. But before I get to the point of people listening to my quality content, I have to find somebody that is willing to distribute my quality content. Okay,
Right.
people that are willing to take a chance. And how would you recommend that I would start? Find an agent, publish my music on YouTube and social media, hoping that somebody like you would listen to it and contact me. How would be the ABC of the industry for somebody who wants to start?
Um, well, with anything, you have to make sure your fundamentals, your foundation is built. The little things, the presentation in the beginning is everything. The way you introduce yourself to people is the first impression. That sometimes it could be the last. So you want to make sure you introduce yourself properly. Make sure you have great photos. You create your social media pages, your accounts. That's the first step is make sure all the you get your images, your bio, things that you need to look professional when you're talking to press and to talking to managers or agents. You need to look like you have your thing together and this is not a hobby. This is your life, your livelihood. So that's the first step. The second step, um, making your music and you're making your content. Like I was saying, there are tools out there. Like there's a company called Vidya that's really great with distributing your music to Spotify and Apple Music and SoundCloud, and that doesn't require an agent or a manager. That just requires a little bit of homework, looking for the right the right tools that you can use to get your music from point A to point B. So understanding that's also a plus. Um, and then you got to be creative and put together a plan. How do you want to reach the people? Who is your audience? You have to know who your audience is. Once you know who your audience is, you have to find a way to reach them. You know, and with anything, you have to invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself and believe in yourself. Now, I know that I was reading your bio, and it tells me that you have worked with some big names in the past, in the beginning of your career. Can you tell us about a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I was interning at this record label called TVT, I came across my first artist by mistake online. He reached out to me. He didn't really know what he was referring to, but I heard his music, and I was hooked. We became friends. I went to go see him, heard all his music, and just became a real fan. And I wanted to just share the music. I wanted to do what I can to get his music to as many people as possible. To the point where he said to me, "You know what? You should be my manager." And I was like, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I'm not a manager. I've never been a manager. I don't know what that entails. And he said, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. So we did that. We were creative. We identified early on that the internet was a place where the world can access information, but via music as well. Like blogs started becoming a new thing. So we were early with reaching out to the blogs to circulate the music, and then from there we were able to attract a lot of major labels. A lot of deals were on the table, and then that's when I met Chris Lighty, who was the founder of the legendary Violator management. We had 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott, Mariah Carey, to name a few. Um, so Chris said to me, he's like, "Look, what you're doing is amazing, but you're clearly young and you're new. You in order to be successful in this industry, you need to have a structure, and you need to have a team, someone who can support you and guide you with our experience." So it made sense for me to form a partnership at that time, and that's when I created my company Noisey Cricket, which was a name that Charles gave me because before every label meeting, I would prep him the same way, and he said, "You're annoying. You're like a noisy cricket. You should shut up." And I said, "You know what, Charles? You know what? We're gonna name the company Noisey Cricket now." And and that's how that became. So then, when I formed Noisey Cricket, Violator offered me a joint venture situation where they funded my company, and I was able to grow the company and learn from him.
And now you have some big names that you work with. Care to mention a few?
Yeah. So with First Access Entertainment, I do management, and I also do A&Ring, which is discovering talent, developing the talent, helping creating the music, the overall strategy, um, but I also do the management as well. So Lion Babe is one of my clients. Kwamie Liv is another client. We actually just launched a virtual global tour that we announced Wednesday. Just a way to be innovative during these times. It's just observe, react, and then innovate is what we did, and we put together a really strong team of people to help execute this campaign.
Now, that is a new thing that people are talking about, and it was born because of the current crisis. Okay,
Right.
entertainment stopped. No, the world stopped. Stopped. There is nothing going on. Tell us a little bit about what is that. So the folks that are watching, when they hear that name, they know where they heard it from, Yonkers Voice, and they know what that is.
In the sense of what the virtual tour is, or
Yes,
just what?
yes.
Yeah. So I want to elaborate a little bit on the music industry in that sense. Like years ago when Napster came around, and shook up the industry in the way people consume music. The industry didn't know what to do. They're like, oh my God, people are pirating music. We need to sue. We need to shut these companies down. We need to sue these people. Instead of thinking, okay, this is going to be the new way people are going to consume music with MP3s and streams. So instead of trying to adapt and embrace that, they try to shut it down, which was the wrong move. But they quickly realized that they had to. So you started seeing the evolution of the way people, went from buying CDs to downloading MP3s to listening to Spotify. And now it's, you don't go buy records anymore. You have your phone and you have all the music in the world that you need, via your phone. So the point I'm trying to make is that the music industry is always evolving, and you have to adapt and you have to adjust. So now with this pandemic, you know, we can't go on the road, we can't tour, we can't travel. So what are you gonna do to entertain people and fans and reach fans? So we recognized the situation, and we decided to put together a virtual global tour, which is what it sounds like. You perform remotely and you access many different territories as possible. I noticed that certain DJs and certain artists were playing shows on their Instagram, which it's it D Nice was the first DJ that really made a name for himself doing that, and it attracted a lot of viewers, and it was the hottest thing to do. So I wanted to evolve on that idea and that concept, and we were supposed to go on a real tour at the end of the year, and it got canceled because of the pandemic. So, what's the second best thing? It's like, okay, well, we're not going to just sit around and do nothing. Let's continue to grow, and let's continue to find ways to reach new fans. So we came up with the concept of doing a world tour. We contacted you know, friends of mine who are promoters and venues from around the world and say, hey, you guys aren't doing anything. You guys can use the content. We'd like to partner with you to do intimate performances for your specific territory. So they thought the idea was interesting. It was new, so they didn't quite understand how it would work. So we had to be really detailed about the logistics of the concept, and it was important to us that we made this specifically for each territory. So we brought on a team, which I think Carla is watching. Carla was super instrumental with building the functionality of the website and the concept of the site, um, to make it to come to life. So we built the website where it's IP address detected. So people who are living in a specific country can only access the show that they're in.
So let's break this down. These shows will be specific to each country where this is broadcasted to. You could broadcast it from United States, but to a particular country. And each IP, it's broken down in brackets, 192 dot blah, 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 dot this, dot that. So only people within that IP range that it's specific to that country will be able to watch the show. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they'll be able to RSVP to the show. Now, because the shows live on Instagram, anyone with Instagram can access the show. Um, but geo gating it was super important because we were giving off. We want to make it special for the people of the country, of where these shows are being hosted, which is the reason why we decided to do it on the venue's Instagram page, because most likely, if you're following that page, you're from that area. So it was just a creative way to say, look, we're playing for you. A week before each show, we're doing meet and greets with the fans, asking them what songs they want to hear. Taking photos on the split screen with the fans of South Africa. We did South Africa today. We did London earlier today, which went really well, just to get people excited. And then another good thing is that we added the language element to the website. So if you're in Brazil, and you access the site, it comes up in Portuguese. So
Nice.
we really made it super detailed and a great user experience for all the people who want to be involved.
Now, Mr. Benros, I'm not sure if you ever heard this term, but I'm going to throw it anyway. For every action, there is a reaction. Now, things are changing. This is a new way of being entertained. It's being born. It's on the made. Will entertainment a few years from now be totally different? Because maybe now there is no need for huge arenas. Even though that personal connection, watching the show, it creates a different element. But now maybe a show can be broadcasted to another country without actually being there.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's definitely going to happen. That's a 100% going to happen. Now, I don't think it will. I don't think anything can ever replace the excitement of buying a ticket, going with your friends to a show, buying a beer, buying a T-shirt, watching your favorite show, your favorite artist. That nothing will ever replace that. But I do think artists are going to incorporate virtual reality experiences with headsets. Maybe technology where it looks like the artist is in your living room performing. All that's going to happen in the near future. But the excitement of going to a show, a one of a kind show, that will never be replaced.
I'm with you. I'm a soccer fan and a boxing fan, and nothing replaces, the vibration of being in there with the players, with the artists. So it's a totally different environment. So one thing does not replace the other, but one thing is a backup to another. But we are entering a whole different way of entertainment, I must say.
No, I agree. Everything is changing. Not just entertainment, just the way, meeting, um, the way you conduct meetings. Who knows? Down the line, there might not be any use for offices. Everything might be, this way. It's
I
going to
got
change.
that. I have news for you. This is now. Okay, for many years I did a teleconference, and the reason for the teleconferences was exactly to eliminate the need of offices, to eliminate the need of traveling, because now you can create a virtual environment that you avoid the expenses of traveling. So it's here now. The future is
Right.
now here.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
the thing that you're working on, are you allowed to reveal who is the artist or not yet?
Yeah. We announced it last Wednesday. So
So
it's
who is
Lion
it?
Babe. So Lion Babe is headlining, and Kwamie Liv, who is a Danish Zambian act that I represent out of Copenhagen. She's supporting the tour for a few of the shows. So it's just a great way for us to reach new fans and be global while being remote. That's always been a thing for me. I always like to do international business. I've always liked to travel. So this is the second best thing than traveling, is to do it and then seeing the reactions of like, oh my God, South Africa, I can't believe you're playing for us. And it's seeing those comments and reactions it makes me happy that this is something that we put together.
Let's engage with our audience. We live streaming, so people are beginning to pick up. And let's say hello to our friend Juju Martin. Juju, is nice to have you. Today we have something different for the change. We are going to be expanding in a whole different direction. Yonkers Voice is evolving as well. Okay, I remember a few years ago, we only had a handful of members. Today we have multiple platforms within Yonkers Voice, different pages and groups, an external web page, a YouTube channel, and we have a total membership on all of our platforms of 7.5 million followers. We came a long way from half a dozen a few years back to the size that we are. And with that growth, new content comes in, because it's now becoming attractive to people like LeRoy and politicians and artists to come into our show to talk about what they're doing, why they're doing it. And they can share their experiences with others. What do you think about that speech, Lee? Was it good?
I mean, I've seen the Yonkers Voice growth from when it started. As I don't know if it was more of a hobby, intended to be a hobby in the beginning, but now it grew into a real multimedia platform, the go-to destination for the people of Yonkers to get the news first. To see the people who are following, the access that you have by building this is amazing. Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. You know, if somebody had asked me a few years back, what's your vision for Yonkers Voice? I wouldn't be telling what I wouldn't be given what it is today. We reached and exceed expectations. So I'm happy. So now, Lee, what's next? What do the artists themselves say about the current situation? Are they happy with this concept that you came up with? Well, what do they say? It's a bad crisis, and it's putting everything on pause.
Oh yeah, it's definitely difficult around the industry, not just for the artists, but in terms of the companies, the labels, managers, because opportunities are limited right now. The way we generated money before, it's being cut in half. Life prices are cut. Branding opportunities are slowing down a little bit now until they adjust. And artists feel the heat too, because this is their livelihood. This is their career. This is how they support themselves. So if they're not generating money, they can, it's hard to, if they don't have a studio in their house, it's hard to record. It's hard to record. You can't shoot videos outside of the house. You have to be creative. So the good thing is that it forces, it encourages you to be as creative as before, bigger than before. So that's the one thing I try to focus is all of these new ideas are going to come out of this situation. But they were excited to hear this campaign. They were thrilled. They understood it. It made sense. We're home. How else can we do this? And it's a great way to plant seeds for when we do return to normal. In a sense of we're building, we're growing our fan base in these territories. So then when we do go on the road, we already are starting to identify who the audiences are, who the fans are in these locations. So it's also not just for now, but it's also for the future. This campaign.
So now that we have this mandate to stay home, are you relaxing or actually working a little harder?
A little bit of both.
So you're relaxing and working harder now. Those two don't mix. It's one or the other.
You balance, right? You put in your time. You work the way you would work. You just home. You have your computer, you have your Wi-Fi, and that doesn't change. You have a phone, you can make calls, you can do video meetings. Nothing changes. But sometimes being home all day and waking up, going to work, going to sleep in your office, waking up in your office, it can get a little challenging. But it's psychological. I try to block out the what it is. You just focus on what the goal is. That's how I stay focused.
Well, in your type of business, I would assume that most of the work is done behind a computer and a telephone, calling here, contacting there, setting shows here. So to you, it's still everything the same, minus traveling for the show itself, but everything else still the same. Well, Mr. Benros, time is up. It's this is all the time that we had for today. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. I hope that our audience, especially the young folks that are thinking about going into the musical industry, can learn something from this. Now, I'm going to give you the last words. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we conclude this interview?
Well, thanks for having me, Yonkers Voice. It was definitely a pleasure. Definitely just tune into the tour. Go to lionbabe.com. Join us for the ride and catch a show, and support your local talent.
Definitely, we are all about supporting our local talent. So why don't we do this? Why don't we make a deal? Just before the show, send me some information how folks can log in or connect to the show, and we will blast that on Yonkers Voice, telling click here, go to this page, and watch the show live as it happens. Do we have a deal?
Sounds good. We have a deal.
Thank you, and until next time. Now let's make this a habit. Once in a while, come on the show, and look to talk about shows, or perhaps just to engage with the audience. advise them on what to do? Maybe somebody has a good music. How can they contact you? Do they contact you with the music? Do you contact them? Do you search? How does that work?
Yeah, well, I'm on social media. You can follow me at LeRoy Benros on Instagram. And feel free to send a message. Send me a link to your music, and if it's something that we feel that we can help grow, we will be in contact.
Joe, I don't know about the comment. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. Can you read it? Can you see it from the other side, Lee?
Yeah, I see the comment. Yeah.
Did you hear anything about this?
No, not yet.
So, Juju, you are in charge of the path that the comet's going to go. So let us know what's up. LeRoy, thank you very much for your time. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye.